Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Next, we're going to take a deeper dive into individual fixtures and starting with the toilet. Let's continue our discussion of water conservation by looking at some toilet water use. It used to be, way back pre-1980, that toilets used 5 gallons per flush and sometimes more. All right, this is no longer allowed in California. After 1980, some new water use regulations came in, and we got something called a low flow toilet. And they were anywhere between 1.6 gallons per flush up to about 5. Okay, this also is no longer allowed in California. What we have now is called a high efficiency toilet. It is a maximum of 1.28 gallons per flush. You remember that from the last video. And this is what is now required in California. You might, like me, have a lot of bad memories of those low flow toilets and them not working, you having to flush multiple times. Luckily, technology has moved on, the design has improved, and these high efficiency toilets really now have some good performance. Moving on, let's talk about some basic types of toilets. There's two main categories, and one is tankless, also called wall hung, and the other is tank type or floor mounted. So here's a picture of what a wall hung toilet looks like right here. And here are some floor mounted toilets. They come in two categories, a one-piece floor mounted toilet or a two-piece floor mounted toilet. And the difference is how they are made. Take a look at this picture. Here's a one-piece toilet. You can see that the tank and the bowl are cast all as one. Okay. In the two-piece toilet, these are literally two different pieces and then installed together in the house. Let's talk about those wall-hung toilets. They are compact, space-saving because you don't have to have that big tank taking up some room. A lot of people really like them because they're easy to clean around. You can run your mop right under the toilet. You don't have that flange on the bottom that you have to clean. Wall-hung toilets are kind of a modern, sleek look, and they do have a tank. It's hidden in the wall. Okay, so the pieces of a wall-hung toilet include an in-wall tank. We've got a picture right here. And that is in a frame, by the way, or a carrier system. Here's the wall-hung toilet bowl. And then there's going to be a flush plate for controls. You can see that in this picture over here. The in-wall tank is in the wall behind these tiles. Here is the wall-hung bowl, and then here is the flush plate. Wall-hung toilets can work with 2x4 framing or 2x6 framing. It used to be they were only 2x6, but some 2x4 models have come out now. And here's what it looks like when it's being put in the wall. Okay, so here is when the wall is still open. So we see our studs. This blue piece right here, that's a carrier frame. And then here is the plumbing coming in. This is the tank. And so the flush plate would go up here eventually. All right, here is another one. It's kind of installed in the wall, but they haven't covered it yet. Okay. One thing you should notice is that you do need this space in the wall above the toilet. In general, this can't be a window right here, and you can't run any other pipes and utilities right through that tank space. There are occasional models, there are a couple of models out there where the tank can be placed to the side of the toilet instead of above it, so you could get that window if you wanted to. Something else that people like is that you can install this anywhere in the wall that you like. It's custom, so you can adjust exactly for the seat height that might be comfortable for your user. Let's move on to floor-mounted toilets. Floor-mounted toilets have an easier installation and a lower cost. They are easier to access for repairs, and they're more difficult to clean. Floor-mounted toilets take up more floor space and visual space, so they're not as sleek looking. And if you notice this, here's your bowl, well, you lose this whole piece of floor space. That's what we're talking about by including that tank. So here's what a toilet looks like, a floor-mounted toilet looks like, kind of in section. We've got our tank where the water is held, and here's our bowl. Okay, the water comes up. Here is the trap and comes down into the drain line right here. Okay. It's interesting to note that toilets have an integral trap, and so you don't need to provide a P-trap below them in the piping. There's a couple of standard sizes of toilets, and one is the difference between an elongated and a round toilet. The elongated toilet has kind of an oval shape, more than round, and it's about 2 inches deeper. Okay, so if space is a close criteria, you want to make sure that you pick the round toilet. Other than that, it's up to personal preference, whether you like an elongated or a round. There's a couple of standard toilet heights. One of them is a child or juvenile, not very common for residential use. The other one's called a standard height toilet. It is 14 to 15 inches from the finished floor to the rim. And the next one is called a comfort height or an ADA height toilet. This will be standard in commercial applications because they need to meet the ADA regulations. But some residences choose it also. It's a little bit higher, 16 to 18 inches, and so it's easier for a person to lower themselves onto it. A larger size does exist and is not very common. And just to bring it back to those wall-hung toilets, if you absolutely want a custom seat height, that might be the way to go. Connections. What does your toilet need to be connected to? It needs a cold water supply, and it needs to drain to the sanitary sewer. It also needs what's called a soil stack or a vent, and that can be shared with other fixtures. So here's a picture from your systems textbook showing a typical bathroom setup. So here's our toilet here. It's going to drain out the bottom, come on out, and then the water is going to continue to drain out to the sewer and then out to the street. But there's also a pipe that goes up through the roof, and that will vent any gases that build up in these fixtures. And the vent can be shared between multiple fixtures. Here's your sink with its P-trap below. It's going to drain out this way, but it's going to vent up this way. Here's your bathtub. It has a drain right here with the P-trap. It's going to drain out that way, but it will vent up this way. Clearances around a toilet. You can either enclose your toilet in a toilet compartment, or you can have it open to the rest of the bathroom. If you enclose it, it will look something like this in plan. And it's recommended that you have this 36 inches wide by 66 inches long. But a minimum size, you don't want to go any smaller than 30 inches wide by 60 inches tall. If your toilet is out in the rest of the bathroom, what you really need to worry about is the width right here. And it's recommended that you have 18 inches from the center line of a toilet to any obstruction like the edge of your sink or this wall over here. But a minimum is 15 inches. I don't know if you can read this teeny tiny number. It says 15 inches. And also, when your toilet is in the larger room, you need to make sure to have at least 21 inches in front of the toilet rim. Okay, just for enough room for someone to stand up and maneuver in front of that. All right, we did a little bit of a deeper dive into some specifics of the toilet fixture. In the next video, we're going to talk about baths and showers.